Full disclosure, I loved the original Jurassic Park, and I didn't watch Jurassic World until like 6 months ago, because it looked dumb. And I expected it to be terrible. I thought I'd hate it, but turns out I actually enjoyed it. It's not a good movie, but it was slightly less dumb than I'd expected, and somewhat entertaining. So I expected this to be, something similar. Big mistake, because this movie is so dumb. It's basically the mess I expected the first movie to be. So let's just get into it, I guess. It's 3 years later, the Dino Island is now a volcano, and the dinos are facing extinction. Jeff Goldblum is back. It's basically just a cameo, but once again he's the voice of reason. Chris Pratt is back, Bryce Dallas Howard is back, but unlike the last movie, it feels like they're not even in the movie. They get basically zero character development or any kind of dialogue that's not there just to drive the plot forward. Everything they do or say is to move the plot forward, nothing else. And that's the whole movie. Things just happen, one after another, just to drive the plot to where it needs to go. It doesn't matter how it gets there or what happens along the way, as long as it gets to where it needs to go. It feels like complete design by committee, paint by number stuff. It lacks any sort of character. It's so incredibly shallow and void of anything remotely interesting. Except maybe for the stuff with Chris Pratt and the Raptor that could have felt awkward and forced, but for some reason it didn't. In another movie, a better movie, it probably would have been terrible. But in this, there's nothing else to latch onto. No emotional core whatsoever. And you know there's a problem when the relationship between a raptor and its trainer is more compelling than any of the human stuff. And by the way, when you have someone as funny and charismatic as Chris Pratt starring in your movie, why don't you use him? He's basically Action Man in this. Jumps around and does things, half of which is CGI and the other half stuntman. He's just there so they can put him on the poster, that's it. He barely has any character. He doesn't have an arc. It's pretty frustrating, to be honest. At least Bryce Dallas Howard has an actual character arc. I mean, they completely undermined it 5 seconds later, but it's there, and she's barely in the movie. And the kid? Why was the kid even in this movie? She didn't need to be there, at all. And her entire plotline is completely ridiculous and pointless. Which reminds me, the super secret dino lab. It literally said restricted access on the door. And a child just walked in. No security measures. None. Zero. In a super secret dino lab. I mean, what could go wrong? Did I mention that this movie is dumb? And it doesn't care. The writers didn't care. No one cared. This thing is the epitome of a cash grab. No one gave a single solitary fudgesicle making this movie. Oh, and almost the entire movie takes place in a mansion. A Jurassic Park movie set in a mansion. I guess animating all those trees and the foliage was just too much work. Let's just have brick walls instead. It's so much easier. And the CGI is passable at best. They had 3 years to make this. The last movie made well over $1 billion. This thing was also basically guaranteed to break $1 billion. And you give me passable CGI. But then again, no one cared. There's like 10 scenes that are completely ripped off from earlier movies. Because remember when that one thing did that thing at one time? I just could not have cared less about anything that went on in this movie. Had I not planned on reviewing it, I probably would have shut it off like 30 minutes in. I was literally sighing out of boredom. Sighing out loud by myself during the quote-unquote epic climax. And I know they're making a new one. It's coming out in 2021. And no matter how terrible this movie was, the very end was actually pretty great. I didn't expect it, but it's the perfect setup for a sequel. And suddenly it all starts to make sense. Which leads me to the following hypothesis. They just slapped this thing together to set up the next movie. They actually wanted to make the next one. They had the idea for it, but they needed to set it up first. So they figured, why not slap something together and make $1 billion while they're at it, just to get to the end. It makes perfect sense. I thought it was just a blatant cash grab, but no. It's the setup for next movie and a blatant cash grab. And this is where things get interesting. The way they set it up, there's unlimited potential to make a great movie. The possibilities are endless. It's almost enough to get you excited. But it's gonna be written by the same person who wrote Pacific Rim Uprising. So we already know they're gonna throw all that potential right down the toilet and flush that bad boy down as fast as they can. It's gonna be another hack script thrown together by someone who doesn't care, directed by someone who doesn't care, put out by a studio that doesn't care, and it's gonna make $1 billion. So would I recommend this movie? Absolutely, it's a masterfully crafted and deeply intricate... Wait, what movie? Jurassic World Fallen King... Oh, nope, don't watch it. It's garbage. It's a terrible movie. No redeeming qualities. Just don't watch it. Why would you watch it? It's awful. But hey, it's your life. You can do whatever you want. I'm not your dad.